This episode is a special one. I speak to Wendy Parr, a holistic vocal and artist development coach about the Parr Method. Wendy has spent 30 years in the entertainment industry, empowering recording artists develop their authentic voice, and has worked with just about everyone. We hit it off so well, I had to get Wendy in for another sit down just to fit in everything. So this is going to be part one of part two with Wendy Parr, coming at the same time next week. And you can, of course, catch the whole conversation uninterrupted over on Spotify. Enjoy. This is the first time we're meeting, so as much for me as for our lovely audience, can you fill us into who you are and what it is that you do?
Absolutely. Wendy Parr. I am a holistic vocal and artist development coach. I've spent 30 years in the music industry, really I started at age 8 working myself as an artist, performer, coming up as a songwriter, pursuing a recording career. And I was invited to become a teacher when I was about 20 years old. And I thought, I don't know how to teach. What are you talking about? And my coach was like, sure you do. Like, I helped you with your voice. You can help others while you're working on your own career. This is a thing that you can do to, support yourself and help other singers. I just discovered really quickly how much I loved it. It's in my bones. Like, being a coach, it's my archetype. If you showed me how a car works today, I'd show somebody else tomorrow.
Right.
Like, I love passing on great information. I love helping people save time. And the core of it all for me is really empowering people to be authentic to themselves. Your voice is literally your voice. How do I help you express yourself? Over the years, that's evolved into, well, how do I help the artist do that everywhere? When you're in an interview, when you're on social media, when you're from your sound to your visual to your persona, that it's really a true expression of you. And that came from the process of discovering how artists weren't fully blossoming, how artists were either like really off track where they're like making music they don't even like, to shooting a music video and then saying, I don't want to release this. And how did we go from like, oh, there was a concept for a video. You said yes to that. It seemed like a good idea. You shot it. You felt good about it. You see the edits and you're like, no, it's not me. Right. And this happens over and over. So that became me developing Compass, which is my artist development program for pro and emerging artists. At the core of all of it is me empowering artists to be their own North Star and create a life you love. Not just, oh, I can sing well, because that's a little irrelevant, obviously not completely, but a little irrelevant in the sense of this is actually about you having a life you love and creating art that's meaningful to you and filling to you, that you want to stand up and share to the world. So helping people do that is like the best.
Of course. And you've worked with a ton of names, and we'll get to them: Regina Spektor, Sarah Bareilles, Melanie Martinez, so many more. You help them find their voice, as you said, elevate it to the greatest level, and help empower them to be authentically themselves. Let's backtrack and try to find the narrative of how you found your voice and how you became authentically yourself. Did I hear that you attended 17 different schools?
Yes. I do want to say one thing, and it's going to seem like semantics, or it may or may not, but I actually didn't help anyone find their voice, right? And everything I do, I'm helping someone rediscover, uncover, and elevate what's already there. That's really important. Every artist, especially many, come to me already like with a strong sense of themselves, right? Like, I'm not saying I'm going to help you know yourself because you don't know yourself. I'm going to help you clarify, gain certainty, be able to name something, and also expand. Michael Jordan, Iverson, like clearly gifted ball players, had multiple coaches all the time through their entire career, right? Like, some of the artists you mentioned, I really helped them expand their voice so that they could be healthy and strong on tour. So it's me just helping somebody be a greater version of themselves and be able to deliver under any circumstance, because you are a living, breathing human and you're going to be angry and sad and tired. I went from cold air to humid air to dry air. You need to be able to deliver consistently under all those circumstances. And deliver means to show up and move your audience. Deliver means to be able to execute. And sometimes that means, oh, I'm going to play with that melody and change it tonight because my voice is in this way, and I'm going to give an amazing live performance. Not, oh, I got to hit the same mark every night. What's the mark? The mark is moving and taking your audience on a really authentic ride tonight. And now I can answer your question.
I love that.
I remember counting, I think it was 17 schools. It was 17 schools or 17 dogs and 11 schools.
Okay, right.
One or the other. Either way, tremendous change.
Yeah, we'll come back to the dogs. Okay.
So yeah, I went to so many schools, mostly in just 2 cities, but it was constant change. And we'd moved houses all the time. I mean, I was 5 years old riding my bike across town to go see my cousins by myself. Right. I was flying on a plane when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
Going, go see grandma and grandpa. And my memory is like, I know what I'm doing. Cool. I'm going to go see grandma and grandpa in Vegas, but I look at, my kids and I'm like, 5 flying alone? What are you, crazy? There's a lot of turmoil growing up. I also just, I came in a singer. Like I was 3 and I knew
right.
I love music. I want to sing. I want to do what these people that I love, Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder, Barbara Streisand. Mm-hmm. I want to do what they're doing. So I came in with a good voice. Like I came in singing well. I came in just like my niece did. My niece was 2 and I'm like, oh, girl can sing, and at 8, I started training her.
Wow.
And that became our fun weekly visits. I got to hang out with my niece every week.
That's special.
So I came in knowing I wanted to do music. I definitely was a kid who lived in imaginative, I was always putting on shows and stories. And, part of that is definitely just who I am. And part of it was coping. Right? Hopefully for any artist, whatever gets you there, hopefully you heal the part that's the rough part so that the motivation for what you're doing becomes more conscious and healed and potent and powerful, as opposed to being driven by your shadow side, demons your whole life. Some people succeed because they're going to prove everybody wrong. Okay, but is that emotionally successful after a while? Is it detrimental after a while? Right? So that 17 school business as a kid was really rough. As an adult, I've traveled the world alone. I could meet absolute strangers and have wonderful conversations. I'm comfortable walking into a room. I still get anxious. I'm like, okay, but I can literally walk up to anybody. I have friends that I have just walked up to in a room because I thought they were so cool. You are so cool. Tell me about yourself. What's your passion? And we're friends years later. That's the positive side of, some of the stuff that was hard as a kid, right? And then specifically as a coach, my philosophy and the way that I teach the first session I have with every artist is called Blueprint. And it's really a conversation about what matters to you as an artist, why you sing. And I can't tell you how many people, my first question, what do you love about music? Why do you sing? I'm going to say 85, 90% of the artists I work with say, wow, no one's ever asked me that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. No one has ever asked me that. It's your profession and your passion, right? So we start with that why, and then we look at what's getting in the way. Where's your head at? Where are your fears? Where are your beliefs? And we don't start training until we've addressed losing some of the things that just aren't serving, letting go of some of those limiting beliefs, identifying what's really fucking you up, and then looking at why you really do this. And now let's move forward with that focus. And I'm going to teach vocal technique to you in a way that keeps you in that joy, keeps you in your why, and helps you get out of the habits that are just making you stressed and worried. The training will be faster and more fun if we can eliminate those beliefs. And everyone has the same ones. I mean, singers, creatives, that Venn diagram. Somebody's worries are not oh, I'm just like that. It's just me. I'm no. When I show the list, they're like, yeah, I have all of those. I'm like, yeah, because everyone's worried about the same stuff. We are not alone in this. Myself coming up as an artist, and then and all the things that I experienced that people still experience. Having a coach that taught me there's a right way to sing. There's one way to sing. You have to sing like this. Made me a singer that had a great voice that was out here, and people going, that's great. Oh my God, your singing's amazing. But my heart and soul was locked up infinitely away from that voice. I'm like, I don't even like the way I sound. I'm not having fun anymore. What happened? And so I had to find my way back to my heart in music and then weave back, okay, well, how do I use technique in a way that it's helping me? Because it definitely did. Clearly made singing easier, better, but it's messed me up mentally and emotionally. I'm not having fun at this anymore. So I had to find my way back to me, how to use technique. You got the mechanics are just there to help you express emotion. And I found that when I was working with an artist and vocalizing them, and I just can't get their voice to open up. And I'm trying all the things I know, and I'm feeling my heart's feeling tight. And suddenly my brain is worried about all these things. And I'm like, I wasn't worried about all these things a second ago. And I'm like, hey, are you stressed out? I'm so stressed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am feeling it. Okay, can you just let all that out? Let's just sing it out. Sing out your stress, sing out your worry. And then the voice went, la, right? The voice just opened up. If you're nervous, you're stressed, and you're trying to hold that back, nothing else can make it through. Not your joy, not your happiness, not anything you want to express. So we've got to be present in the moment, expressing our truth for this voice to function. And then magical things happen. All of that, even Sarah Bareilles, she gave me a little piece of my philosophy.
I interrupt this episode to tell you about this week's sponsor, which is, of course, DistroKid. DistroKid make it so easy to get your music on hundreds of platforms. And with the Christmas season just around the corner, one of the best ways to up your monthly audience listeners is by releasing a cover song. You can do that with one click over at DistroKid, and you don't have to worry about any copyright infringement legalities. It's a really great way to boost those monthly listeners, challenge yourself, and get some new music out there this Christmas season. If you want to get 7% off your first year, students get even more of a discount, then you can find those links in the description below. Let's get back to our conversation.
I was doing Blueprint with her. As I was walking her through the first session, I said, there's a little piece of my own philosophy I don't have yet. I don't know what it is yet. And she actually gave it to me that day. We were talking and I was asking about like, how do you connect with your audience? Like, this is part of the conversation, like helping the artist recognize like, well, my job is to sing, but really it's to move my audience, right? So how do I do that? Like, how do I just get them to feel something, right? And she used the phrase, she said, well, I invite them in. You can't give 180,000 people, you can't give 60,000 people, you can't give 200 people what you think they want. I can't take away your pain. I cannot take emotions from you. Your audience can't take your emotions. What we do is we invite somebody in. Like, we're having this conversation. I'm opening up and being real and vulnerable with you. I'm telling truth to you. You asked me before, is there anything off limits? I'm like, not that I can think of. Like, what do I have to hide? If there's something I really don't want to share publicly, I won't. That doesn't stop me from being vulnerable. I don't have a wall up. And that's the same for the artist. You have things that are private to you in your life that is not for your audience. That's just for you, your inner circle, closest people, friends, intimacy. But this intimate relationship with the audience, is not about giving. It's about opening up and letting us in. It's about being vulnerable. I'm going to share with you my truth, my emotion, myself. And then that gives everyone in the space an opportunity to open up and feel their own feelings.
It's interesting you say that, because it's reminding me of something I speak on with my producers and beat makers, right? And it's similar, but it's almost the opposite. When I sit down with beat makers and producers, they seem to, not everybody, of course, but I see a large number of normally producers that are early in their career. They want to feed everything into one song. So they go out with an iPhone or a field recorder and they record the beach they were on for their honeymoon, and then they put that into, you know, the wave sound into the bottom of their recording, and then they're writing with their kid's guitar that was their first guitar that they got, and they play it in a certain key, and then it's this, and then the song is about this, and the tempo's a particular type of tempo. And I have to explain to them, you can't possibly give your listeners everything that you're feeling, that is in your head, that is your lived experience in a 2-minute track. You can't give them. It's quite a tough thing for producers to like.
I think you do though. Yeah, but in a different way. Like, every song I write, my whole life is in there. Right. Like, all of me is, if I wrote 3 lyrics on a song, but it doesn't mean all of me all the time is in every song. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So like, my whole self and lived experience is behind everything I put out there. But yes, like, just like a recipe for pancakes, you know, you don't throw, I don't know, what wouldn't go in a pancake. So, you know, like, you don't. You're asking the wrong guy. Yeah. So you don't necessarily put cayenne pepper in a pancake. Sure. You'd be like, and now right now I'm going, oh, wait a minute. That could be a cayenne pepper, you know, bacon. Like, what would it be? Okay. Right. Okay. So, right. But maybe you don't put cayenne pepper and syrup and then right now I'm going, oh, but that's hot and sweet. That would be good. So there's a way to make ingredients work, just not all the time with everything. My point being, I totally agree with you. I think, like, oh, I love that. Recorded the beach, the ocean waves on my honeymoon. Like, put that in a song. That's magic. All that emotional energy is in there. That's amazing. But then save the kid's guitar for something else and something else for something else, right? Like, just, you don't put all the ingredients in the kitchen into every song. Exactly. Right. But when you put that one guitar, like, everything that's behind that and you and every heartbreak you had and every breakup you had before that marriage is in there. Right. But I agree with you. Like, it's the same with songwriting. You know, I'll work with an artist on a song, and at some point, you know, there's got to be a theme. It's like, what's the theme of this song? What is this chorus really saying? Well, the verses and the bridge, like, everything has to support that theme. And if we start writing another theme, we'll be like, that's a great one. Is that what the song's about now? Because we have to shift, or is that another song? And you're like, oh yeah, that's another song. Great, save it. That's the seed for the next song we'll write.
Interesting.
Because and it's the same with artist development. Like the Compass course is you as an artist, there's so many things. You have 12 archetypes. There's so much to you, right? But you can't give everything all the time to your audience. Like we just can't digest all that. So really what we tend to do is you've got three main, I'll use the word archetype. We've got three main archetypes that you're sharing. There are three main concepts of who you are, and everything goes under the umbrella of that. And then your other archetypes, the other 9 are subtly coming out. Like maybe this song, number 7, comes out because it's like, oh, that song's really like humorous. Let's bring the jokester out more on that one. And so we'll play with the colors and use that archetype. So the others become subtleties. And then a few of them are just for you. Like, this is my personal life. This doesn't really come out much in my art forward facing, but it's still going to be there because it's you. Like you're not hiding it. You're just like, I don't focus on bringing that to the fore. And then after this album and your second album, maybe you had a marriage and if you got a divorce or you had a heartbreak or you listen to Spanish music for 2 years straight. And one of the archetypes is like, this one's going to go to the back burner. And this one's real. I'm feeling so much more of this in my life right now. That's going to now be the fore. So your merch and your social media content and your singles and your visuals start to change a little bit for this to take the lead now. And so you're constantly evolving, and it's not a new you, it's you now. And then it's you now, and it's you now. But there's consistency because you're very clear about all the parts and pieces, and then you're just you evolve. I'm the same person I was when I came into this world. I just have wisdom and experience and heartache and healing and trauma and healing. But I'm really, go find my baby picture, which I recommend everybody does. I recommend you have on your phone and next to your bed. You've got like a few of your favorite pictures of yourself. All of my photo albums that I spent years organizing were deleted. So finding pictures is a little harder now. Let me see if I have one. Because I had all these where I could see them. Give me 1 second to find one. So why is that important? So when you see yourself as a little kid, before all the shit went down, before people told you it was okay or not okay, how you should be, who you shouldn't be, that's your spirit. I've got twin toddlers. They were different in the womb. I didn't carry, my wife did, but like one was Cirque du Soleil and the other was like chill Buddha. They came out that way, right? They're still like that. Like they have clear personalities. My job is to not get in the way too much and not shut them down, right? And let me support them discovering who they are, bringing out who they are, and see if I can just help them be kind, lovely people and discover what am I here to do? Well, let's let you try lots of things and explore that. My son loves to figure out how things work. He figured out the baby gate when he was 18 months old. He was strong enough to move it, and it has a 2-part to open, and he'd figured it out. My daughter is like singing all the time and baking imaginary donuts. And I have pretty donuts. She's just singing, talking to imaginary characters, feeding her dollies. We come in a certain way. And then the world has its way with us. When you look at yourself as a kid, you really connect to your own spirit. It helps us to see who we really are and reconnect with that, and then bring that energy into your life, bring that energy into your work, bring that freedom, and as well as show little you, hey, look at our life. Look what we're doing. Look at the people we hang out with. Look at our friends. We're making art and music. Like, you get to show yourself the life you created. And that's a really powerful thing to do.
It sounds like something I need to dig up. I was saying to friends the other day, I have back here, I'll show it for this camera over here. See if you can see it. I've got a picture frame. I've been in this building for 2 years. Nothing in that picture frame. There is not a single picture in this entire building of friends, family, myself. And something that resonated with me whilst you were speaking is reminding yourself who you were before other people got involved. What is it that you wanted to do? Why do you do what you want to do? One of the things that I struggle with is I sit in this chair like all day, every day, 8 to 16 hours, making songs, sending them off, demos, mixing for people, giving one-to-ones. And I find that most of the time of the last few years, if I really check in with myself, I don't normally feel like doing music. I don't feel super connected to it, but I'm like, I do this and I know that I'm I guess, yeah, privileged is the right word. Probably I would like to lean towards a different word, but I'm so lucky to be doing the job that a lot of people want to do, but where I'm in this position, and it was the same when I was a session musician. I was a session drummer for like a good sort of, well, I guess I still am, I just don't do it that much anymore, but like a good sort of 10 to 15 years. And I realized as I started playing for different people, the imaginary bar was getting greater and greater. I would play for that artist, and then I remember I was in the studio for Lucy Rose, and she was my favorite. She had my favorite like singer-songwriter album at that time. She hit me up, would you come to the studio and start performing for the next record, the next tour? And as soon as I got through that door, my brain went, I wonder who's next. Like I couldn't enjoy it. And that was such a like aha moment where I was like, oh, I might never enjoy this. And it was the same for the next artist and the next show that I did and the biggest venue and the biggest tour. And it's kind of the same when I make music now. When I, got 1 million streams for the first time, or hit a new milestone for audience listeners, whether it be streaming or whatever, I remember being like, am I connected to this, or do I just do this every day? And I've so very much wanted to dig into recently, just finding that well of inspiration again, of being like, I'm excited about this. Like, not I should feel excited because I am privileged and this is what a lot of people want to do, but this is what young you wanted to do. Like, have a conversation with 7-year-old you and just say, dude, you're going to be doing this every day. Do you have any advice for folks that find themselves to be just doing that kind of rise and grind mentality in music? Because you probably have tons of burnout artists that you work with that come off the tour, work on the next album, rinse, repeat, right?
For sure. There's so many, there's layers to this. So one, yes, put some baby pictures around.
Absolutely.
Kid pictures, baby pictures. And then throw some friends and people that you love, because it really is wonderful to have a gallery of your people. And because like same, I'm in this room for so many hours a day and I'm like, oh gosh, I need more meetings because I need to see people again. Even so many people still Zoom with me. And I'm like, come in person. Number one, a voice lesson in person is like exponentially better. Yeah. I know, just travel, COVID, time, like sometimes like, I'm going to Zoom today. And I get it. Like there's a lot of convenience. So let's look at a bunch of layers here. One, I really recommend meditation, Vedic or transcendental style meditation. It helps us it's hard to explain what it does because it does so many amazing things, but it really helps you get clarity and shift from what you think is important to what is actually important. There's nothing wrong with the desire and like the person who's saying right now, I want 1 million streams. That is literal motivation, right? You're like, that means more people are listening to my music. That means I'm going to get paid. That means I'm going to go on tour. That means, right? Like it's a indicator of all the things that you want to be happening in your life. I do think that like just sitting down and meditating, I'm like, what does my life look like in 5 years? What do I want it to look like? What do I want to be doing on a day-to-day basis? Who's in my life? Like, meditate on what you actually want, because the world will tell you, yada, yada, yada. The world's going to tell you, and every culture and someone's going to tell you, this is the marker of success. But inside yourself is what you actually want. So I think getting clear first about, what do I want? And then sometimes you get there and you're like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. I actually don't like this or want this. Okay, I'm going to look at what I really do want, right? Maybe after 10 years of touring, you're like, I want a studio and I want to stay home. Maybe after being a session drummer for all these years, you're like, I want to build my own music and produce tracks and sync my songs. Like, so because your goals will change. So being willing to reassess is really important. Know your goals, and then we have to reassess. Like, we have to examine ourselves again and again. Like, is it a internal shift I need to make, or is it a physical, like I need a different job? But let's look at the internal first. So if you're doing this every day, let me get simpler. So meditation. And then I have 2 practices I really recommend. In the morning, gratitude. It's really nice to do if you have someone you care about, a small circle of friends. You do a gratitude list together and people post it and you share it. It's really nice to champion other people, and it's really valuable to be witnessed. But if you write down 10 things in the morning that you're grateful for, and at the end of the day, you write down 10 things that you appreciate about yourself. And that could be, I made myself a really good lunch. I stated a boundary when I needed to. It could be, I checklist those 3 important things today. There's no teacher giving you a gold star at the end of the day going, good job. And because we are creatives and visionaries, you're always looking ahead as to what you want to do next and what you want to do next and what's the next mountain you're climbing. And number one, that will often make you feel like it often leaves you feeling, what's the word? not unfulfilled, but like in a way unfulfilled because you're striving for more, right? And so you forget, wait, I just filled up my cup. So before I strive for more, can I look at what I've done? And when you're climbing the next mountain, if you look behind, you're like, holy shit. If someone wrote your bio right now, you'd be like, I did all that? Like, I don't even remember. It was blood, sweat, and tears when you were in it. But once it's done, it's in your rearview mirror. You're not looking at it. So it's really important at the end of the day to recognize, what did I do today? Because your to-do list is going to keep growing. But when you look at what you did, it lets you know, I moved the needle. I'm really proud of myself for that. Oh, I took care of myself. Oh, that's growth. That's something I would not have done in the past. And I said no to a couple things yesterday. I did. I left a voice message for one person and an email for someone else. And they were both a little hard to say no to.
Right.
Partially because of FOMO.
Sure.
I'm like, I'm saying no, and part of me is going to be like, but will I really want to have done that thing? But when I did it, if I tell you the sigh of relief, I was like, oh yeah, that was the right choice. And I'm proud of myself for saying no, for saying it on time, and for somebody like not leaving it for procrastinating and making him wait to hear it. And his response was like, I totally understand. Amazing. And I was like, this was really hard to say no to you on this. And he's like, I totally get it. And I'm like, thank you. He's like, don't stress. I get it. I'm like, I know you do, but and it was meaningful. So gratitude in the morning will completely shift the way you're looking at your own life. Like, it'll shift. If you have to clean your bathroom and you're like, I gotta clean the bathroom. Someone else is like, oh, I get to clean the bathroom. That's my meditation. I'm like, But if you're going to do it, turn on music, like find your favorite, put on, like, do it in a way that's like, okay, this makes this more fun, right? So gratitude in the morning will shift so many things. One of the artists I work with, and she said this publicly, so I can say it, Lynn from Paris, I started having her do gratitude list. And she told me, like, a year later, she was like, when you first said that, I was like, what does this have to do with singing? And I was like, oh, that's funny, because I'm pretty sure you just texted me, cool, on it, like, and she was like, for the first days, I was like, I'm grateful for my coffee and I'm grateful. And then she said, right, which start there. And she said, within the first week, I just suddenly wasn't worrying about some stuff that I was really worried about. Right. And I realized, like, I'm performing in Europe right now and I'm doing this. This is the thing I've been wanting to do. And I'm doing that. And the stuff I'm really worried about, I'm working on. So we're going to take care of it. Like, she talked about it, like how it was a major shift for her. And that's what it does. Like, I notice when I'm complaining, I'm in a horrible mood. I'm like, and I clock it. I'm like, Wendy, you're complaining. You are sour because you're complaining. Can we and I literally write that and go, so grateful for my children. I'm so grateful for this food that I get to feed them. I'm just get simple. I'm grateful for this. And suddenly you go, I have a lot to be grateful for. And it really starts to shift your perspective on everything. And so the same thing you're doing can look and feel really different when you appreciate it and look at it differently. Sure. And if you've made the internal shift and you're still not fulfilled, then you're going to start having a desire for, well, what would I like to be doing now? Like, I don't want to be sitting inside all the time anymore. So what could I be doing? Could I go do something that's collaborative? Can I go partner with somebody? Like, the ideas will come that are going to start to fulfill your soul for what you need right now. For sure. So gratitude list in the morning, self-appreciation at the end of the day, and you will start to feel so much better that you're taking care of yourself. You're moving the needle. You recognize, all the abundance you actually have. And then still, like, your visions and desires and goals aren't going to melt away. You're going to have new ones. I make tea and drink it all day long because I discovered I just am a happier person if I brew herbal tea. Okay. Little secret. I have a thermos of tea, plethoras of honey. I buy honey from all over the place. I have a whole cupboard here at my studio and at home of herbals from a couple of my favorite tea shops. And I make my own blends. I have their blends. Like, I just discovered in the course of my life, if I drink tea all day, I just feel better. So I make sure I always have tea, honey, tea. That's something that the Brits have been doing for a while, because you probably know this already, but we're very particular. So if I go anywhere outside the UK, I get this little like sandwich bag of Yorkshire tea. And I know so many Brits listening, same thing. You put that in, because we can't be going to a hotel room and having like the Tetley and the breakfast teas. It's got to be Yorkshire tea or nothing else. I want to maybe go back to
some of your checkpoints of your career, and speaking on kind of life lessons and momentum shifts. You'd said before the podcast you had 3 BV jobs that you got fired from. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about a low light real quick.
Sure. And, you know, like I'm talking about those checklists, as a vocal coach and artist development coach, I recommend artists make 3 lists. One are the tips, tricks, and tools that I give them for vocals. So that when you're rehearsing, for example, you're like, oh, right, Wendy has me do that thing and that makes it easier. Let me try that. Let me try it out. So you have that list. The second list is called practice roulette. Those are all the ways and all the things you can do to practice your music. And that would include vocalizing. That would include singing your songs. That would include writing songs. That would include watching videos of iconic live performances. That would include going to the museum because it's not an output day. It's an input day. I need inspiration somewhere else. So you need the discipline of I'm showing up for myself to rehearse, but I'm not just doing the same thing every day.
That practice roulette is phenomenal.
Thank you. And if you have a whole list of like, oh, I want to finish a song I haven't finished, or another one is like, I want to work on that song I've been avoiding. Right? So it's a blend of discipline and inspiration, but you have a variety of things. And these are all, I need to practice for my live show. Okay, let me start that process. I need to start gearing up for tour. Let me start that 3-month process. I've got so much inspiration for writing. I'm writing. I'm in a writing cycle. So you need that and the third is a business list. Like, what do I need to do to move my career and business forward? So am I sending an email out? Am I spending an hour on emails? Am I spending this much time to build social media? What am I doing for my business? Am I getting myself booked on a tour? And when you start to do these priorities, you feel so much better about yourself. Because again, my task list it goes into next year already, right? Like some things are like, that's for the end of the year. It's already on a list. But as I keep checking things off and then something new comes up and we're like, oh, let's focus on that because that's really catching fire. Great, amazing. As you check it off, you feel good. I don't think you stop when you die. So, you know what I mean? Which also means I need time to rest. You need time to rest. But if you know, like, oh, I did the top 3 priorities today, I feel so good about that. I completed this thing I needed to do. I feel so good about that. And the list will never go away, but you're going to feel really good about the work you're doing when you're clear about it, consistent about it, and you move the needle. Background vocal jobs. I remember
we're
2 of them.
All over the map today. This is great. I know, this is the pace I like to travel.
Okay, cool. I like variation too. So I'm like, background vocals. First gig, I was maybe 16. I was driving. So I know that I drove myself to the rehearsals. And I know I was working with John Fluker, who's an amazing vocal arranger. I got this job to sing background vocals for a singer. And I'm good at harmonies and creating background vocals. Like I love creating background vocals. And I really just do it all by ear. So I'm not great at like, here it is, here it is, here it is. Like when I hired Tabitha Fair or Wendy Moten to do backgrounds on a project, they're like, this, you want this? Here's 7 parts. I got you right now. Like they're ridiculous at this job, right? But for me, singing background vocals, I wasn't very fast at catching the harmonies. I was a lead singer. I was pursuing my own career as an artist and writing songs. I love background vocals. I just wasn't quick. I'm still not quick at picking up the harmony and keeping it. It's just not my highest skill set. So also know where I've spent the most time or a lot of time rehearsing and living. So I got fired because of that. Like I wasn't fast in keeping the harmonies. And I asked the artist, can I stay on for free? Because I would really like to learn how to do this. She said, sure. I was super professional. I was rehearsing. I showed up on time. I did the work. And at the end of that show, she offered me the job to go on the road for, it was 2 or 3 months. Like, do you want to do this? Like, you're hired. No, I don't remember why, but I didn't take the job. But I was really proud of myself for doing the work to get there. And the second job, I'm going to leave a little bit mysterious, just so I don't name names.
Okay.
But it was for a major artist on a major world tour. And I was one of the background singers. And the director fired me and cried when they fired me. And they're like, I'm so sorry. We have to let you go. I know this is just going to be like a blink in the eye of your career. Like literally, I remember that phrase. And I was just like, what happened? Like, and I know I lost a third job. I just can't remember what it was. And for me, it was
no.
I don't know. I'm going to come back to it. Come back to it. The reason why, because there's 2 points to this. Okay. There's 2 points to this. Fine. I don't know, I think the big gig may have been the third job that I lost. Okay. And I was like, okay, can you take the lesson? This isn't your job. Like you're not here to be a background singer. You keep getting fired from this job.
Sure.
So stop stop trying to be a background singer, go be a vocal coach and pursue your work as an artist. Like to me, it wasn't like, oh, I got to bang my head against this wall. It was like, no, this isn't for you. And the world keeps telling you that. Go where the love is. If you are a lead singer and you want to have a solo career and you're a guitar player and you play keys and you keep getting jobs to be a sideman in a band, please go take the band jobs because the world is going, this door is open. This door is open. This door is open. Come on. Your future is through here. Again, as long as you like the people, you like the music, pay is decent or higher. Because your future as a individual performer could just be down the line, or you could find out, holy cow, I absolutely love this band. I've had the best time. We're now doing a world tour. I'm with my best friends. Like you set a horizon and then let the world like do this and do that for you. Because, our minds are really limited. We actually can't imagine, human beings can't imagine anything that doesn't already exist.
Right. Yeah.
Anything we've invented is based on stuff that already exists.
Yeah.
So your future is only based on things you've seen, but the world's going, it's bigger than that. I had no idea I was going to have babies. Can I tell you, like when my kids were born and they came out, and it's indescribable how I got hit with a wave of awe and love and every emotion can't even put names on. I couldn't have imagined it. Never experienced anything like it. So say yes where the doors are opening. And then there'll come a time when you'll make a decision, right? You'll be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want more of that. And then the world will be like, you sure? Because here's a big job in the old vet field. And that is often the moment where like you're testing your integrity of like, no, I really feel strongly about this a new adventure I want to take. I'm going to say no to that. Right. And I can tell you many examples where that's happened for myself and others. So knowing the difference, like, am I saying no because I'm stuck on a dream that I'm like living like I think I want? Or is it a shift that I really am conscious of making? So that being said, that last gig, I did find out, I want to say like a year and a half or 2 years later, maybe longer.
Wow.
I found out that I was fired because there was someone else on the job that felt really threatened and thought that I was going to take their role on the team. And they kind of worked hard to, talk in the ear of
behind the scenes.
They were behind the scenes working to get me fired. And I didn't know that. I found out year later. I also heard that the tour was a horrible experience for everybody.
Blessing in disguise.
A bunch of people quit and then they were begged to be rehired. And it was just, I heard it was a really rough experience. And of course you literally had people working to fire one person. What else was going on? So yes. And it was, for me, it was okay, that's not your path. And I was making a record at the time and I started teaching somewhere around where I was starting to teach. No, I'd been teaching. I'm bad at linear time. But it was clearly a path, not fork in the road, go this way. And I think that's really important. There's an artist I work with who I take a little bit of credit for their stand-up comedian career because they're an incredible musician, but they're really just one of the funniest people I know on the planet. And I was please, there's no George Carlin. You're like George Carlin.
Wow.
You're so brilliant. And your music's amazing, but put your music into your comedy or there's just no one else that can do this like you can.
Right.
Other people play guitar also, but no one. And they did. I went to their first stand-up show, which was amazing. And then later they created a TV show. And they told me, they're I literally have an idea on a piece of paper and I have meetings with 3 networks. I have a finished album and I can't get a distribution on it.
Insane.
And I was go where the love is. Go where the love is. And they had a hit show that they did. And they've continued to do both music and they put their music in their show and they've continued to do both music and that. But I really mean it. Go where the love is. Another artist I work with was in a band and the band broke up and they realized they're there's so many other skills I haven't been using because I've just been in this band, doing this one thing. But I used to do all these, I used to play drums for people. I used to do this, and they started doing it. They started playing for this person, producing this person. They now have had, a 10-year career of producing and mixing for other people, going on tour with artists that they've produced for. They've done such a variety of things now with their career because they stopped trying to do just, oh no, I'm just doing this one thing with this
themselves.
Band. Yeah. And now they've had a really beautiful, fulfilling career that's done all kinds of things. And they've produced a lot of records. And then they were just mixing records. I produced this one, I'm mixing for this one.
Wow.
Sometimes they do both, right? So you just get so much more variation and options when you use your different skills and talents, walk into a room knowing all the skills and talents. And, it's like a deck of cards. Like as a coach, I say, hey, here's all these different things I do. Just, take the ones you want when you want them. And some people just train with me for vocal technique, and some people take Compass and they don't train with me. Some people take Compass and then they start training with me. Some people trust me and they're like, I want you as the vocal producer. I trust you so much, vocally and with my emotional performance. So it's just, some people are like, no, I don't want to change our relationship. Just do this thing with me.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's whatever someone needs. And if you let people know, like, hey, this is me and I do all these things, someone will be like, oh, I need someone to do that. But they don't know if you don't tell them.
Absolutely.
So you just share all your hyphens. I'm this, slash, this, or make a moniker for yourself.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Just come up with a moniker. Oh, that's cool. You're that. Cool. You do that. Cool.
Go where the love is. I think that's the title for this episode. You've got another arrangement, and I feel like I could talk to you forever. Should we just get in a part 2 soon, and then that'll be the episode? I'll just do an episode with a break. Wendy had to take off, so this is where we continue the conversation. Yeah.